again, everybody, and welcome back. You're all my guests. You're welcome back. People know me, John D. Healy. People know me because I produced this book, and that's how it all started, about my friend Stoney McGurn. His life story from 1941 up until recently. It's on audio, it's on video, and you can get it on Amazon. I'm also sponsored by Liffey Moving Company, moving here in New York City for the past 50 years, close to now. When it comes to moving, let Liffey do the lifting. My podcast is called It's Good to Talk, and it's always good to talk. And I always have different guests on from different backgrounds, their life, their story. And I want to say today a big thanks to all the guests that I've had on. Their stories were unique and different, and it was a pleasure to have them and share them with you, my listeners. And today I have another guest on, and her name is Yemani Vasquez. She is a native New Yorker. Hello, and I'm happy to have you.
Hello.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to where you started work after leaving school, okay?
Okay, I started working at the age of 14. I got my working papers.
Okay,
I opened up the flagship Gap on 34th Street, which is no longer there.
okay,
I did that because I wanted to buy myself a Gucci bag, and so I
okay.
did with my first paycheck.
Nice. Okay, and then from there?
And then from there, I went on to do more customer service, cashier, retail work. I have an eye for style, so I've styled people, not anyone famous or formally, just friends and family for
Right.
different occasions. I obtained my degree from Atelier Esthétique,
Okay,
so I do skin, hair, and makeup.
okay, okay. So that was on the early, how old were you at this stage?
Well, my career with the customer service and retail began in my teens, and
Okay,
it went from there. I've done administrative work, reception work, events work. I guess you could call me a jack of all trades. I have,
aren't we all?
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
So
continue, tell us more.
I've raised a family. I've raised brothers, and now I'm going back to school so I can finally earn my degree. My son is about to finish with his, so he had
How
to.
old is he?
He's 22 years old.
Okay,
He'll be 23 next month, and he'll be graduating and beginning a career with Bank of America.
excellent.
Yes, I'm very proud of him.
You
And
should be.
my teenage daughter is doing well. She's excelling in her academics in school, and
Okay,
she works part-time as well. She lives with her
okay,
father.
okay. So for you to go back now, I'm not going to ask you how old you are, but for you to go back, say, after having a career like in retail, I guess we'll call it, and all that, and customer service, from that age up to now, you're going back really as a mature student, which is a good thing, I guess, because now you know exactly what you want and where you should see the next stage of your life going, because you're still only a very young woman. So will you go back and focus your studies on the next thing you want to do with your life in terms of what that career will be? And then you can tell me what that career might be.
Well, I'm going back to finish what I started, which is computer science,
Okay,
because it's a whole other language, and a lot of people don't have as much knowledge as they should, and it's not as scary or unterritorial as people think. Computers are there for us to manipulate. It's artificial intelligence.
okay,
You could never compare that to the mind.
okay,
And that's where I would like to earn my degree. I started a small business in 2011,
okay,
but it's been a little difficult because I'm doing all my self-education and research as far as owning, operating, and managing a small business. So the goal is for me to grow my small business, and
what is the nature of the business?
I buy wholesale and resell retail.
Okay,
And I'm slowly getting back into that because the pandemic hit and it was not good for business. and it's
No.
been very difficult. I've been struggling, but I'm still pushing because I believe that my dreams will be realized. And now that my children are bigger and I have more time to focus on myself, I can
Yes.
I can reach my goals.
Right. That's excellent. Well, you should be proud of yourself too. What type of retail products do you wholesale and retail?
All kinds, men's clothing, women's clothing, children's clothing, fragrances, household items, seasonal items, gift
Okay.
items.
And the question now doesn't burn, it begs you to answer. You have a website, I'm sure, do you?
No, that's all in the works. I'm looking to build capital right now. I have a relationship with the small business services, but I was recently a victim of identity theft. I was
Okay.
waiting for a loan from the small business services, and the loan did go through. But as I said, I was a victim of identity theft, and I believe that those checks were stolen from me, and I'm having difficulty getting back into the email. But slowly but surely, I will rectify
Mm.
everything, and things
Right.
will work out the way they're supposed to.
Well, I'm sorry that that happened to you. And you made a point earlier on about the artificial intelligence. I'm kind of slow with that myself, but I will get there eventually. I have more faith in my mind's intelligence. You mentioned about communicating, and I did mention on a podcast last week with Brian Layden, a poet, there are so many languages in the world, and yet people can't communicate. But we all should try to communicate. So here you are, your family are raised, you have your business foundation set up, you know who your suppliers are. I, you, I'm sure you're trying to build a customer base. That would be important.
Yes.
Do you have a business plan in mind?
Yes, I actually do. I have everything put together for a would-be investor or investors.
Okay.
I haven't had the opportunity to meet with anyone or anyone that would be interested in investing in my idea. And until that happens, I'm just,
Well, I'll interject here for a second. I'll be happy to help you with that because I do have lots of contacts because it's good to talk. So I talk, but I also listen. I have a lot of people that would be interested in investing in a new startup, a new business, and possibly would have the location and the wherewithal to do that. So when we finish this conversation today, then we'll arrange to meet and talk further on your business plan, because I'm familiar with what a business plan is, because I studied business at St. John's University a long time ago. I was probably a younger guy in a class with a lot of mature students, actually. So I was like maybe 21, and they were in their 40s and 50s going back to study more. So
like
what
me.
like you, exactly like you, yeah. So it's not so different at all for people to want to learn more. I think it's always important. On my podcast, like It's Good to Talk, that's why I bring on a diverse range of people. Like Adam Cardona comes on here. He's a medical massage therapist and sports massage therapist. He has his own podcast too. He's generous with his time. He teaches people online how to self massage, neck massage, how to improve their health and wellness. I had Kyle Olson on here. He was a young guy from Wisconsin. He started a very simple business, just recycling wooden pallets, and he was generous with his time too, to say like turning the wooden pallets into wood chip, what you buy at Home Depot to put on your lawn. I did have Matthew George on here. He talked about cybersecurity, and cybersecurity is so important nowadays, especially after last week, where a 21-year-old stole files from the Pentagon. And during the podcast with Matthew, the security guy, cybersecurity, I did ask him about what if there's a fox in the hen house. And Matthew answered that. So my listeners will have to go back onto that one. I also had Michael Moran on the podcast. He's a New York real estate guy here in Manhattan. And he gave a lot of practical advice to young investors, say buying condos, co-ops, or renting and all that. That's a worthwhile podcast to go back to too. So I do have lots of people for you to interact with. So I'll be happy to meet you in a few days' time, and we'll go through your business plan and go on more. So the future is bright for you, and I'm happy that things are rolling on. So but you're still able to work your business from some base, I guess. And
Yes, when you see me, I am the business because I'm mobile.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good to know too, because I'm not the best with when it comes to shopping for clothes, and I'm sure there's a lot more men out there like me.
Oh yes, there are. You would be surprised the amount of people that they prefer to have a one-on-one experience, and being that I can tell someone's size and the things that they would like and more or less what they would be comfortable in,
Right.
they trust me. So I work one-on-one with clients.
That's pardon my pun, but you're my kind of woman. I'm envious of other men, like my friend Rory from Galway has a wife, Regina, and she dresses him like what's the name of that doll? Oh, whatever. It's like a male doll. She dresses him very well, anyways. Okay, maybe overdress him, but she is, after all, she's a woman of taste
and style.
Style, yes.
Yeah.
She has a good eye. Yes, when it comes to her husband and clothes. So yeah, I understand totally where you're coming from now, and that's important to know. Now, how do people get in contact with you?
Through my email or through my direct line, because this is my business line as well as my personal line.
Okay, can you call that number out for me, please?
Sure. My phone number is 718-802-8869. Again, 718-802-8869.
And your name is Yemani.
Yemani Vasquez.
Okay, Yemani. Okay, Yemani. And you said it was an email as well, sorry.
Yes, that is my first name dot my last name, number 1 at iCloud.com.
Okay, call the whole thing out again.
Yemani.Vasquez, number 1 at iCloud.com.
Okay, we'll put that up on the bottom of the screen in a few minutes. Well, Yemani, interesting to talk to you. It's nice to have someone back.
Likewise.
That has a different perspective on life. You raised a family. You're a native New Yorker, born in New York, of course.
Latin from Manhattan.
You're Latin from Manhattan. Tell us a little bit about the Latin background.
Well, I'm Puerto Rican. My first language is Spanish. I spoke Spanish in the home and learned English in school.
Okay.
I love my Latin heritage. I love my Latin ethnicity and the little spice of life that I add.
Okay. Well, let me talk to you a little bit more. So, when your parents came here from Puerto Rico, were they first generation or?
No, my parents are second generation. My grandmother and my grandfather came over from Puerto Rico.
Okay.
My parents were born here as well. And I was conceived, born and raised on this lovely island of Manhattan.
Well, I'm impressed because I always say about New Yorkers, like we all came from somewhere else. Like I was born in Ireland.
Yes.
My first language is Irish, the Gaelic language. Thanks to the British and the Queen, I speak English. Sometimes I say I speak better English than the Queen, but that would be easy because she's dead. But my first language is Gaelic, and I'm like you. I'm proud of my background and my heritage too. And that's why I did a podcast last week about Irish poets and Irish poetry and the Irish language. And the week before that, I did a podcast about the history of Ireland and the Good Friday Agreement with Brian Layden. So I'm just putting this out so my listeners can go back and tune into other podcasts that are just like what we're talking about. But your story, again, is different. And everybody has a story that is unique to them. So, Yemani, I'm going to say goodbye for now.
Goodbye for now.